Welcome to the Office of Undergraduate Research Education Series, applying for the Undergraduate Researcher Opportunity Program. We're super excited to have you here because we know that you're interested in applying for research opportunities at the University of Utah. This event is virtual and it is being recorded, so please mute yourself and turn off your camera to ensure an optimal experience. If you have questions, use the chat feature or unmute when invited by myself or my colleague, Cindy Greaves, who will be today's speakers. The mission of the Office of Undergraduate Research is to facilitate and promote undergraduate student faculty collaborative research and creative works in all disciplines across the University of Utah campus. We also would like to acknowledge that land that feeds and sustains us. This land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. The University of Utah recognizes and respects enduring relationships that exist between many Indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. We respect the sovereign relationship between tribes, states, and the federal government, and affirm the university's commitment to a partnership with Native nations and urban Indian communities through research, education, and community outreach activities. Today, I am one of the speakers. My name is Dr. Annie Isabel Fukushima. I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and I have the honor of running the Office of Undergraduate Research. I am joined by my colleague who will introduce herself.
Hello, I am Cindy Greaves. I'm the Associate Director in the Office of Undergraduate Research, and I also manage and maintain the UROP program that you'll be learning about today.
So if you get an email or communication from Cindy, it's probably important. You should respond to it or you should look at it. And we are just so excited to have you all here. We're going to play a quick video promo about the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program.
So thank you for joining us today to learn about how you can apply to the UROP program. The full name is Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program, but it's most commonly known as UROP. So UROP provides a $1,200 stipend for educational programming for students who are doing research with a faculty member. And this can be research or creative work anywhere on campus with any of the faculty members that are here at the University of Utah. These faculty mentors do need to supervise the work. So students can apply for a UROP funding any semester, and they can also be eligible for a 1-semester renewal. And those renewal semesters does not have to be consistent, so it can just be any time in the future. UROP awardees, we do hire them as University of Utah employees, as temporary part-time employees of the Office of Undergraduate Research. And again, they are paid $1,200 for 120 hours of research work during the semester. So to be eligible, students must be matriculated and degree seeking here at the U. Students must be working with a faculty mentor on a project. We do allow some graduate students to become UROP mentors as long as they've had mentoring experiences or some kind of certifications. Students must be enrolled in classes for the fall semester and the spring semester. Students are welcome to apply for UROP during the summer, but we do not require that you take classes during the summer semester. And students must be eligible for university employment. So some of the expectations from students, so once you have applied to UROP and you've been accepted, you're expected to attend a UROP orientation. And this is an orientation that we just really give you the information of how to get paid, what you can expect during the semester, and how the program runs. We do require that students to attend 2 education series events. These are all on our website, and you have to attend 2 of those before the last day of class. We also expect students to complete the UROP final report before the last day of class. This is a final report. It's a quick online form. It should take no more than 5 to 10 minutes. It tells us how your experience was and maybe how we can do things better. We do require and expect students to present at one of our undergraduate research symposiums. We will talk a little bit more about this later, but we have symposiums every semester. You do have to present at one of those before you graduate. We do expect that students will obtain certifications as needed for lab and research, and this is something that you should be discussing with your mentors. They will know what certifications you need to move forward with the projects that you're working on. And then we ask that you acknowledge the OUR in support of dissemination of research. And again, OUR is the Office of Undergraduate Research.
Thank you, Cindy, for that. So one of the things you should keep in mind is that the UROP program with the Office of Undergraduate Research is all about student and faculty collaboration. So this work is happening with mentors mentoring a student. So some of the things we just want to make sure that you're aware of for mentors is that there's also expectations of our faculty and graduate student mentors. These expectations is that they support the student on the project, they mentor the student. That mentoring dynamic will be agreed upon the mentor and the mentee. That might be regular meetings. It might include professional development. It also might include specific knowledge about training and literature. But generally, one of the things is we want to make sure is that when students do research is that they are appropriately certified and trained to do the research, depending on the type of research. For example, if you are doing clinical research or you are interviewing, you would want to get trained in human subjects. If you're doing animal-based studies, you need to have animal research certification and so forth. Some other trainings in clinical environments, for example, might have HIPAA training and all of that jazz. Lots of training happening to make sure you can do research. Some of the things we also want to make sure is that they support and reinforce OUR policies, acknowledge the support of the Office of Undergraduate Research, and devise a schedule. And we'll talk a little bit about the expectations of the application and what goes into that. But generally, they will be the ones supporting the student, thinking about what do you do with those 120 hours that you will be paid for. And our mentors can serve as reviewers at the symposium that Cindy talked about that we'll talk a little bit more about later. But generally, there are expectations of both our mentors and mentees. So one of the things we want to make sure that you are aware of is that you can visit the Office of Undergraduate Research. And in that, if you don't have a mentor right now, there is tons of information of how to find mentors. So when you visit the OUR website, you'll find that there's tons of information. Our most important buttons are getting started, finding a mentor, funding, because you're all here to take our money, as well as the research database where there's tons of opportunities. But what if you don't have a mentor? You haven't been connected to one. Well, you can find here when you click through on finding the mentor that it will show you templates of communications. We want to again remind you these are templates that you should really take liberty to revise. People really want to know that you are reaching out to them because you're interested in that faculty mentor. But we wanted to make sure that you had some information about this, as well as you'll find on this page, there is an older OUR mentor panel that we had where mentors actually talked about what students might know or think about when reaching out to them. But I'm going to scroll back up, and what you'll find is that with the Office of Undergraduate Research, if you click on View OUR Faculty Mentors on this website, there is a, by college, all the faculty at the University of Utah who have mentored undergraduate researchers who've through UROP and SPUR. So we encourage you, so for example, if you're interested in working with humanities faculty, you can click on that and it'll show you all the humanities professors and so forth. And one thing you should know is you are not required to work with faculty in your college. You can work with any faculty across campus at the University of Utah. And so for students who might be interested in medicine, but you are majoring in sociology, you can reach out to faculty in medicine. If you're interested in doing, research on issues of race, hey, reach out to an ethnic studies professor. We want to mentor you too. You don't need to be our majors. I know I've mentored a ton of students from social and behavioral sciences, psychology, nursing, and social work, and so forth. So you'll find that faculty are working with students across campus. All right, so now you're all here because you're interested in applying. So you find that mentor and you're like, I'm cool. I know what I want to work on generally. I have a mentor who's lined up, ready to go. So you are going to be applying for the Office of Undergraduate Research UROP program. And so here you'll find on our website, if you go into the our.utah.edu website and you click on UROP, you'll find that on our website, there's also some sublinks. I'm going to actually show you all how to click through that as well, just in case if you would like to be interested in exploring our website. So here you're going to go to our.utah.edu/UROP. That's the main page that will take you just right to the UROP page, or you can find it on the OUR page as well. But this is all the information you'll need. And you'll see that here there's how to apply, acceptance checklist, resources for current scholars, and UROP mentors. And so finding those faculty mentors as well. And so I encourage you right now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the how to apply portion of it. But you can find this information on our website available for you. We really want to make things easy for our students to find and access. So some of the things that you will need to prepare your application is you need a statement of the problem or topic of the research or creative work. This should be really worked out. This should not be a few sentences. This should be very detailed. You should set up the problem. Like, why does this matter? Why am I doing this project? Why should other people care about it? Why is it important? Here, you're going to really set up the stakes of why this project matters. Even if you're doing creative research, such as dance or writing a play, you should really set up why this project matters. We want to know what problem it is that you're trying to solve and all of that. Then the other component of this preparation of the proposal is you need to have a relevant background or literature review. Now, the Office of Undergraduate Research in our education series has content on literature review. If you've never heard of this term and you're like, what is a literature review? Well, folks, it is not a book review. It is very different. It is a form of writing that tells you about the topics or the areas of this particular subject that you are studying. So, for example, if I am doing research and I want to do interviews around issues of gender-based violence or issues of race, then what I would do is I would need to set up the literature on those topics to show that I have read about this and I am really ready to hit the ground running. The other thing that you should also prepare is specific activities that will be undertaken during the semester. You can also timeline things that you've already done. So for students who have been working with mentors in advance and will continue to work with them afterwards, you are welcome to make this timeline as long as possible to show that you've thought about the pre-work and you're also doing the post-work. You're thinking about what happens after this UROP funding. But you should really be detailed and you should really tell us what you're going to do with that time. Don't just have a couple sentences. Folks really want to break it down and see how are you going to work on this project throughout the semester. You also need to prepare a section on the relationship of the proposed work to the expertise of the faculty mentor. So you really should have that conversation with the faculty, peruse their website, read their scholarship, and show how it is that their research or their teaching or their other expertise and service will benefit your project. And then the last section is a relationship of the proposed work to your goals. And so one of the things you should keep in mind is we're really interested in knowing not just your goals in this project, but do you have career aspirations or post-graduation aspirations? What are they? Tell us how this project will help that kind of long-term efforts. So one of the things that students often make are common mistakes when working on this. So one of the things with the statement of the problem or topic area creative research is that, you know, one of the things is you should be really clear about the research questions and the problems you're seeking to solve. Cite resources. Oftentimes, students do not cite resources in the section and they wait to cite in the second section on relevant background. You should be citing in also the statement of the problem to show that you've read to set up the problem, that you know what the stakes are in the field. In the relevant background literature review section, this should be robust with citations. Connect with your mentor with recommended reading. This will really tell the reviewer that you've read deeply about this subject. And again, ready to hit the ground running. And so some of the common mistakes is that students just simply do not show that they've read a ton. The other thing that you should do in the common mistake in the specific activities undertaken in the timeline allotted is that you have to be concrete. And one of the feedback that the office oftentimes receives from reviewers is that the timeline wasn't feasible, or it didn't include, it was overly ambitious. So the student really wasn't thinking about what they could really do in 120 hours, or they didn't take into account training. And so then it's like, well, that's going to take up time. Why isn't that in your timeline? Or if you've done that training, you should put that in the pre-timeline work, right? Show that I've already done this training and then I'm ready to hit the ground running. The other thing is that students oftentimes make the mistake of is not talking with their mentor about their expertise. Your faculty have tons of expertise, and you really should have them read your proposal, but also give you feedback on this section, because maybe they'll find like, hey, you know what, maybe you want to reference this publication or this project or this research lab that I've been doing. That might help to show that I have the expertise, right? Because you might get overwhelmed looking at our 100-page CVs and be like, which thing should I choose to highlight? There's a ton here. So you can also work with your mentor to ask them to help you make decisions about how to focus what to highlight about their expertise. The other thing is that, this relationship to your future goals should not be an afterthought. This is a section that is actually scored by reviewers. So you should really take care in thinking about this section, because you don't want to have lower points just because it was just a few sentence afterthought. This section, every single section really matters. So these are some of the things we just wanted to make sure you think about. And one of the things we also want to make sure you consider and think about is your faculty mentor reference. Your faculty, and you can tell them this is what they need to be prepared to respond to, is they should be responding to how long and in what capacity have they known you. So one of the things for students who are in newer collaborations with faculty, that's okay, but you should say that you've been meeting with them, right? So you've been meeting with them already, right, to get to know them. How much have you met with them? What are the things you've already planned for, right? So show that there's a building working relationship, not just this is a cold call email and you've only had one meeting with them and you don't really know them. We really want to see an investment in the mentor, in the mentee. And the only way you can do that is getting to know your professor. So set up time to connect with them. The other thing the faculty needs to respond to is what evidence suggests a student is capable of successfully completing the proposed project. They need to know you. So tell them about any research experiences or classes or things that you've done to prepare. When you're meeting with your professor, show up prepared with questions. When they give you tasks, follow through. So they already start to see you are ready to do this, you can do this, and you are showing that independence as well as ability to work with them. They will also have to list specific mentoring activities that they will undertake. This should be very specific, from how often they will meet with the mentee, if they'll be incorporating you in a lab, what other things will they do, professional development. So will they help you kind of apply this research project so you can present it at conferences and so forth. And generally, we will ask them what is their overall assessment of the project. So they should have reviewed your application and given you feedback. And so this is something you should keep in mind as you prepare your UROP application, is you need to give your faculty mentor time to look at things. So really don't do it the day before deadline. That can be stressful for all involved, right? And so we really want to give them the time and give you the time to get the feedback that you deserve to have a strong application. So let's look at the Office of Undergraduate Research website. So one of the things we've already talked about how you can find this page. You'll find that there's important deadlines that Cindy's always updating, okay? So you can even think semesters in advance. So just always look ahead to these deadlines. You'll find that all the requirements and expectations are here on this website, as well as there's more information on how to apply, right? So you're ready to apply, hit that button, folks, get going. Cindy's going to talk about that soon. But before we get there, one of the things we want to make sure that you're aware of on this website is that We have here the information we started to talk about, both what needs to go in the application, as well as what you'll find here are template applications. But I would say that these are just the bare minimum. Don't see these as like the high bar. This is the bare minimum application samples. And so you'll see some samples from across fields. And we're going to be updating this page as well with different ones. But, say, hey, you know what, I'm interested in applying for chemical engineering. You'll see here that there is a proposal here, right? And that really, but engineering, I'm going to tell you folks, engineering is incredibly competitive. Our top schools that students apply to work with faculty are in engineering, College of Science, medicine, and social and behavioral sciences. Those are very competitive colleges with lots of students applying to work with faculty. So your application has to be really on point, proofread, clean, and thought through, because those reviewers are looking at everything. So check out those samples. Those are just examples of previous students who have been awarded, but they are not the high bar. They are just the minimum. And so I encourage you to kind of think about that, especially for more competitive colleges. Cindy is going to take it now with how to apply.
So once you apply, like we had talked about, you can also do a renewal. So kind of jumping ahead into the future, if you do want to do a renewal after you've already been successfully awarded one semester, you just need to take your application, update it, tell us what you learned, what you progressed in, and then let us know what your new timetable is. So if you are continuing with the same mentor, the same project, great. You can use some of the information from your original project. If you have a new mentor or a new proposal and you're applying for a second time, you're still considered a renewal, even though you have a mentor or a different project. And then we also do allow group projects. Just know that every member in that group does have to write their own has to write their own proposal. And so work with your mentor. See if there's some distinguishing parts in there that you can include to show what you're going to be doing versus what some other person in the group project might be doing. Because we want to avoid any kind of plagiarism. So when it's time to actually apply on our website, there will be a button that says how to apply. And the application form that we use now is in a system called InfoReady. So InfoReady works the best with Chrome or Firefox. So please make sure you have one of those browsers before you click on the apply button. And then you will have an account that will be set up. And this account just automatically is a login with your CIS credentials. So your unit and then the login to get into CIS. We encourage applicants to avoid any kind of special characters, formulas, images. Those just don't always transfer over well into this new system. And so we do ask that if you have any kind of special characters, that you can attach a one-page PDF. You can also attach tables, graphs, images in that one-page PDF. But the form will ask you to give some student information, some information about your faculty mentor, and then of course all of those, everything that you've written for your proposal. There'll be just separate questions for those. And please check with your mentor about the email address. That would be the best one for them, one that they will make sure that they get. They too will be logging into InfoReady so that they can submit a faculty reference for you. And then footnotes and endnotes, again, those don't translate very good into the system. So make sure that you are using, whatever's best for your department and your area of study, such as APA or MLA, and include things in your references. So these are our deadlines. They're pretty consistent throughout the year. So the next deadline for spring is going to be coming the first Friday in November. And then the mentor reference is always due the following Friday. So when you push submit on your application, an email will automatically go to the email address that you provided for your mentor. Your mentor will get an email with a link to log into InfoReady. And then also they will be able to see your application. And then they have a few questions that they are asked. And then if spring semester doesn't work and you need a little bit more time, we have some summer dates. So summer deadline is usually the first Friday in March, again, with the mentor deadline the following Friday. But please check our website. The website will have exact dates for deadlines, and it may have to adjust from year to year. But the application deadline is always on a Friday. So recently we partnered with the Wilkes Scholars Program, and this is a program for students who are doing climate research. So students who are doing that kind of research and want funding from the Wilkes program, they also apply through our UROP application process. Students who are in the works will work with a mentor. They'll work with mentors who are working with the Wilkes Climate Center for Policy, and students who are awarded Wilkes will get funding from Wilkes, but if they are not awarded and chosen to get funding from Wilkes, they will still be considered for UROP funding. And so students who are eligible for the Wilkes funding, again, climate research, they've already reached out to a mentor, they've made some connections with them, and they are doing some climate science. And again, they need to be able to provide a faculty mentor who is a tenure line or a career line, and then they will get a letter of support. And again, they have to be matriculated. But for the Wilkes Scholars, most of the application process is the same as the UROP Scholar. And again, if you are interested in doing Wilkes research, then you would apply through the UROP form.
Yeah, and so one thing we just want to emphasize here is that Wilkes has its faculty. And so while UROP has some limited opportunities for graduate students to be mentors, Wilkes requires it to be faculty. So one thing we do want to talk about that is never fun to hear about, but it does happen in competitive programs, is sometimes you are not awarded. And we know that anytime we experience rejection, that can be incredibly heartbreaking. Believe me, I'm a professor. I've submitted many grants and articles and all of that. And part of the process is that we just don't always get accepted to everything we apply for because everything's so competitive. But so what happens if you are not awarded? What do you do? Well, one thing you're first encouraged to do is to connect with your faculty mentor to review the application and see what can you do to improve it for another go. You can also make an appointment. So students and faculty mentors can make an appointment to meet with the office. So they would meet with me to receive feedback. And I'm happy to offer that verbal feedback and walk you through. But I can tell you the things that we've already talked about around timelines, around not having a ton of citations, around not being a feasible project or overly ambitious, those generally tend to be common assessments of projects that are not awarded. So we really encourage you to do your best to be as detailed as possible, cite, but also think with the sort of time that you have in a semester to feasibly finish out a project. And so now we're going to just talk about some of the other opportunities that you should consider. In addition to UROP, we love when students come and take advantage of our opportunities and resources because we know that when you do that, you're more likely to have positive experiences. So one thing we just want to give a plug for is a summer program for undergraduate research, which the deadline is end of January. This one is a more summer full-time intensive experience that students have with the University of Utah. It is a nationally competitive program, so students across the country can apply for it. But you know what? Hey, folks, you should be applying for it too. We want our students to be considered to work with faculty here at the U. If you are interested in applying for a UROP in the summer, you can apply for a UROP and a SPUR and then make decisions about which one you get, right? So say you get the SPUR and hey, folks, more chunk of money, you might want to take that one, right? And so we encourage you to consider these other opportunities. The other thing that Cindy already talked about was the education series. When you visit the Office of Undergraduate Research website and our education series, you'll find that there is a ton of content for you to access. It is required that UROP scholars watch two of the live events, but what we want to encourage all of you is that any of you can access this content. It literally is wonderful and robust materials about research at the tip of your fingers. You'll find information about abstract writing. Hey, if you're going to be presenting and you've never presented a poster and and you don't know what that is, you should attend our series where we have content on poster making and presentations. Scared of public speaking and you're like, hey, I get a little bit shaky in the knees. There's all kinds of content that helps students with research. And so we really encourage you to check it out. There's even content on publishing. Another requirement for the UROP scholars is presenting at the Undergraduate Research Symposium. Folks, this is so cool. I love these events that we organize. Shelley, who's part of the team, is a wizard at organizing these events with the rest of the team. And so what you'll see is tons of opportunities to present. In the fall, it is a virtual only presentation. So you create a video and you also create a poster that then goes on our website. And then we invite different deans and colleges to attend. So that one's more virtual. In the spring, it is all formats of poster presentation. If you want to do an oral presentation, hey, if you're in theater and you want to do dance, you can do performance. You want to screen your film that you've been working on, hey, screen a film. So we will take all kinds of formats when it comes to the spring symposium, and that's one of our larger events. And then another large event is the summer symposium, but that is just poster presentation. And so you'll get folks though for that one because students are coming again for those competitive national opportunities from all over the country. So last summer we had students, 241 presenters from 95 different universities. Super cool stuff happening. We really believe that what's important to research is not just doing research, but research dissemination. And so then the symposium is a part of that. And so one of the things we want to also remind you about is that students can submit to the journal Range, Undergraduate Research Journal. This has a student editor, Kashan Thambu, who's one of our student editors, as well as Sarah Cody, who's one of our staff editors, as well as me as the faculty editor. And in it, we have it searchable, indexable, and it is published and disseminated on our website as a web based through Pressbooks, and it's archived in the library. So folks, it is a cool opportunity for you to disseminate your research in a publication format. You do need your faculty to approve it. So make sure that faculty mentor reviews it before it gets submitted to the journal. And if you publish with the journal, present at our symposium, hey, most people do 2 semesters of research, is you'll find that you are eligible for what we call the Undergraduate Research Scholar designation. So as a friendly reminder of that, we encourage all students before they graduate, you should be thinking about it now. Don't wait until that last semester, is start thinking about it now. And so that's just something we want to remind you to get in your transcript because it looks really cool. And if you're interested in applying to graduate schools or if you apply to opportunities with government or what have you that have transcripts that require you submit your transcripts, really awesome to show that you've done research. So this is a little bit about the Office of Undergraduate Research UROP.